Joining me now is Shadow Environment Minister, Senator Jonathon Duniam. Good to catch up with you. Thanks for joining me. So have the Nats and the Libs kissed and made up? Is it all good now?
Well, Danica, good to be with you. And look, it's been one of the most unfortunate weeks in politics I think I can recall for a very long time. And, you know, it's a robust place. But I think, as you said in your introductory remarks, these things are better done behind closed doors, not out on the media with a running commentary every step of the way, which has been incredibly unhelpful. You've just covered a story which should be the top of every news pack, and that is the devastating effect of floods in northern New South Wales there. The lives lost, the livelihoods impacted terribly. And for the last week, we've sadly been talking about ourselves, and that was a big part of the concerns held by a number of my colleagues. So I am pleased we now appear to be at a point where we can get on with forming a united opposition, and I hope that's where this ultimately ends up, because without a good, strong, focused, convicted opposition, one that is operating on strong beliefs and united in them, then you have a government out of control doing what they want, no matter what impact it has on the community. So that's the job ahead of us. We've let people down. It's now time to reset and get going again.
Absolutely. I think that's what, Conservative voters want. But I've got to ask the question, why did the Liberals not agree to what the Nationals asked for from the start, particularly when it came to nuclear? This was a policy the Coalition took to the election. Why delay it?
Well, I think part of it is a process problem, and one of the things we do after every election is review those policies, and I think there was a degree of desire within the party room to do that. Again, I think that could have been handled much differently, especially if between the two parties we were able to agree that by a point in time we'd have resolved this issue, but in the meantime let's just get on with it, appoint a shadow ministry and start holding this government to account. I think the differences of opinion around nuclear was so minute that it didn't need to end, or at least happen the way that it did. I think the National Party and the Liberal Party will find themselves incredibly united on this, and I think we'll have a common sense position at the end of the process we're going through, which is consistent with the one we took to the last election.
Did the Liberal Party have no choice but to back down?
Well, I think what happens in these situations, particularly after the devastating result we saw, again, we failed to convince people we were a party that could be trusted after the election. We didn't win the hearts and minds of people we needed to win the seats to form government. People rightly look at the policies we took and thought, well, maybe there is something that needs adjustment there. And so that was part of the thinking behind perhaps some of those in the Liberal Party that wanted to take time to consider where we were going with a number of policies. But I think on the part of both parties, everyone agrees the only way we are going to be able to offer credible opposition, and as I said before, if you're going to have a good government, you've got to have a good opposition holding that government to account, or else they're out of control, is through a coalition. We can't beat them on our own, and neither can the Nationals, and that's why we have to make sure we stick together, work out any differences we have, as we have for 8 decades now for the most part, and stand together to offer a good alternative and one that people can vote for and have confidence in. And that's what we need to be doing from today on.
I mean, people would be asking, what on earth was the point of a 2-day divorce? It just seems quite farcical, to be honest. Do you think that the Nationals were seeking to undermine Susan Lee's leadership?
Look, I don't think so. I can't speak for them, but I think that they had some genuinely held views. I think they were as devastated by the result as many of my colleagues were in the Liberal Party, and wanted to ensure that this was not an opportunity to walk away from our core values, but more stick to them. And they wanted to ensure the Liberal Party did that. So, look, what was the point of a 2-day divorce? I don't know. I agree with you. This could have been handled so much better and behind closed doors. Unfortunately, we were not given that opportunity, and it has played out the way that it has. But I suppose the point now is conversations have been had, a process is being gone through, and now I hope at the end of it, we have a united coalition, an opposition that can hold Anthony Albanese and his ministers, who are going to take this country off in a terribly disastrous direction because they feel incredibly vindicated with their renewables transition, with their claims around Medicare, with the tax and spend policies. Well, while we've been doing what we've been doing for the last week, which is frankly not what we've got elected to do, they've been getting away with whatever it is they want to do. We've got to stop and start focusing on the government and saying, well, hang on, let's get this right on behalf of the people of Australia who are paying taxes for you to muck things up, Anthony Albanese. That's our job, and that's what we've got to get back on to doing.
Oh, look, absolutely, given we've got another 3 years of Albo. Before we let you go, as I mentioned, New South Wales is flooded again. As the Shadow Environment Minister, what more can the government do here? Do we need better defences in terms of mitigation?
Yeah, I think often we put the ambulance at the bottom of the cliff rather than putting a fence around the top, and there must be better ways we can mitigate against flood events. I think that when areas of our communities get affected the way that, in particular, for example, Taree has, we need to look at what we can do. I know there are some retrospective measures, but we also need to look at where we put in place, future developments. Planning laws need to take account of potential disasters like this. Now, I know that this is a once in a 500-year event, but all the same, we need to put in place measures. The people of Taree, no doubt, will have to spend a lot more on insurance next year as a result of this. So this will hit their hip pocket on top of everything they're going to be dealing with. So there is a role there. And I hope that the government does take the lead on this and work with insurers to make sure that people aren't pinged or dealt with inappropriately. But yes, new measures, planning laws that actually do fit the bill, and learn from our mistakes here.
Absolutely, because there's been so many flooding events lately. Jonathon, Duniam, it's been nice to catch up. Thank you so much for joining me on the show this evening.